Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for Business Sweden for hosting us. We're here to discuss a very important subject, which is, can farmers in Egypt and Africa feed the world, and the role of long-duration energy storage in supplying sustainable agriculture. It's been, so this panel and this discussion will cover a lot of things, from energy, from water, agriculture, business models, innovation, and the heart of it, and how all these things can serve agriculture. And the panel with us today is quite well equipped to talk about this. We have three panelists. We have Mohamed Demerdash, CEO and co-founder of Engazaat Development. We have, please join the stage. We have with us here Jonas Wallmander, CEO of Azelio AB, long duration energy storage technology. And we have with us online Quentin Ragetly, CEO of Mascara Nouvelle Technologie, a desalination technology provider from France. Quentin, are you with us? All right. He's on his way. So we will start the discussion first. Thank you all for being here, first of all. And we will start the discussion right away with, since it's Energy Day today, I thought we'd start with the energy part. Jonas, maybe you can introduce us a little bit about Azelio and the role of long-duration energy storage in agriculture.
Thank you. And so, Azelio, we are a long-duration energy storage company. And as we all know, renewables such as wind and solar, they are only available for energy production when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. And due to this, we have to store the energy produced by wind and solar. And we have to store it for grid stability, to not have fluctuating electricity grids. But we also have to store it for our industries that want to create sort of profitable businesses and need production 24/7. And the solution of Azelio is by combining our solution with renewable energy, we are able to provide energy 24/7 with no CO2 emissions. And this is unique. And this is the difference if you compare this with such normal batteries that has a couple of hours of storage. We have much more capacity, but we have a very good fit for industrial applications. One of the strengths of our technology is also that we are very scalable. We can scale from very small installations on 0.5 megawatts up to 20 megawatts. And this gives a very, very good fit into the agriculture space, because the agriculture space today is roughly 24% of all CO2 emissions in the world. And to decarbonize agriculture, we have to provide renewable energy solutions that is decarbonizing the agriculture. And our sort of customers are very often farmers, and they're farmers in like poultry, greenhouses, fish farmers, but also, as the project we are going to present today, desalination. Because water is one of the key things that you need to run a farm. If you want to grow crops, you need water. And you need pure water to be able to grow high-value crops. You cannot only grow like olives So yes, that is Azelio. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonas. When I think of energy, I usually think of it as an enabler. I mean, if you think of it, without energy, we cannot do much. And it is an enabler for agriculture. So to move to the point, which is what is closest to our hearts usually, which is food, and food comes usually from agriculture. I leave the floor or the mic to Muhammad to describe a little bit the agricultural landscape in Egypt and in the region.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph, very much for this introduction. Jonas, thank you for inviting me for such a panel. Let me just reflect on the situation that we are having here in Egypt. That is not only Egypt, it's Saharan, Sub-Saharan Africa, and most of the region. As Ralph, I will just pick on your last word. When we discuss enablement, let's just understand the context we are actually ahead of. If we say, look, just a bird's eye view on the agriculture sector, we will find that 24% of the labor force in Egypt is on agriculture. That makes agriculture the biggest or one of the biggest employers in town. Second is that when we discuss agriculture, we discuss 80% of the water consumption is in agriculture. So it spends only 9 to 10% on drinking water. 80% is in agriculture. It is also in tangency with very important and crucial topic that is food import in Egypt. And food import in Egypt has a lot of repercussion on the dollar, on the dollars and the foreign currency stress that we are now facing, and most of the African countries are facing. And that's causing lots of inflations and stuff like that. We import more than 65% of the food staples from the world, mostly in wheat and corn. Okay, and it's also add this to another fact that 95% of Egypt's arable land is in the desert that has the potential to reclaim. And just let me stop here a little second that Egypt has been doing agriculture for thousands of years. Okay. For thousands of years. But now the Egyptians are facing for the first time ever in history a new challenge totally to go to the desert to reclaim their lands, to produce their foods. And that's a new challenge with new ecological endeavor that Egyptians had never known. So put this all in context, we are ahead of something that's very important. The key word that tackles all those in one shot to work smartly is sustainable agriculture. And sustainable agriculture definitely by design implies a preliminary assumption that it includes sustainable clean tech utility infrastructure to produce food, best quality food, at the least water footprint, at the least emissions, at the most efficient cost. That's our mission together since 4 years development in this project in Mogra. Okay, to enable small farmers to do that. So that is the landscape, that is where we are, and that's the challenge and the target missions that we have had on our site, and that's now where we end. So, Ralph? Yeah?
Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you, Muhammad. Yeah, very, very well described. I think the challenge of agriculture in Egypt, but also not only in Egypt, in Africa, but also everywhere in the world. I think that's a big challenge. And that's a very good picture of the landscape. When we talk agriculture, we talk water, right? We cannot grow anything without the right water. And this is where I leave the floor to Quentin, who's with us from Chartres in France, and to give us a little bit Mascara's perception of the water problem and what they are doing to solve it. Quentin, the floor is yours.
Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you very much to invite me to participate, even remotely. But I'm really pleased to talk about this topic, which is a really important topic. As you mentioned, water needs are very important for agricultural purposes. If you look globally, the water consumptions for agricultural purposes represent 70% of the consumption of water, which is huge. I mean, the biggest consumption of water is for agricultural purposes. And all population, as it was mentioned, need water and agricultural to stabilize and to grow. So it's really vital need. And the paradox is we are on a blue planet, but this blue planet is mainly covered with salty water. More than 97% of the water on the planet is salty water, and less than 1% is fresh water that is covering our need of water. So we have very, very, very few fresh water on Earth. But we have huge amount of resources, which is salty water. And that's the reason why Mascara is looking how to desalinate water, to adapt water treatment, to produce fresh water, use the benefit of huge amount of water and preserve fresh water and cover the need of agricultural need. So we developed a solutions that is able to desalinate water with power generated from renewable energy, and mainly solar panel energy, that we are able to just do the treatment of desalination of water. We need the problem with renewable energy usually is that they are highly fluctuating, and we just adapt the water treatment to be able to cope this fluctuation and to adapt the water production according the power production. And so we can run in a very remote area with just simple solutions, or we can be involved in more elaborate and sophisticated and complex projects such as Mogra with storage, power storage, and so on, to be able to produce bigger amount of water. Desalination is with reverse osmosis is a really modular solution and can be adapted to small production, but even for very big productions. So we have a solutions where we can produce water and water that can be dedicated to agricultural purposes, which is very important. Thank you very much.
Very important. Thank you, Quentin. So we've heard problems. We've heard that agriculture is responsible for 24% of global emissions, that 70% of water is used globally for agriculture, and that in Egypt, 95% of the land is desert land, so non-arable to start with. And here I think that this is where the three parties here with us today have come up with a solution to all these problems. And this is where I think I will leave the floor to first for Mohammed to explain to us how the solution started, and then leave the floor to Jonas and Quentin to reflect on this. And the solution is an alliance between the three companies, Engazaat, Azelio, and Mascara, in order to form a cleantech utility, what they called the SAVE Cleantech Utilities. Mohammed, maybe you can give us more about this solution.
Thank you, Ralph. Shall we be able to? Yeah. No. Okay. First of all, let's just start from where we had this conversation. That the demand is really there. So if we are talking 90% of the land in a country like Egypt of 100 million, if we are discussing a country that is facing lots of water security stress, and we are discussing also what we call food security, water scarcity, and energy supply in the off-grid market. So the demand is really huge, and that's a fact. The other fact is that the technology is there in the world. We have the solar panels, we have desalination systems and RO systems, and we have storage systems, and they are there, they are qualified, they're committed, they're able to solve the problem. But the problem and the challenge we identify between those two facts, the demand and the availability of technology, is the adoption rates of the mainstream market to this very essential for the development of life in Africa and Saharan Africa. Okay, so to solve this adoption problem, we needed to make it accessible to everyone, to democratize it, to make it available for everybody to be able to cultivate on solar, clean energy, and to provide clean water to everyone who can actually produce food, small farms. And the recognition here that this small farmer, we put him lots of hassle. He delivers most of the value, but he gets least of the returns. So what we need to do here is just to enable him with solar, water, energy, but on pay-as-you-go basis, on buy now, pay later basis, as a service. So he only pays what he consumes, water or electricity, when he's able to do that, when he sells his crop. By that mission, that is a way that we can decentralize and ignite a community-led transformation. So let's imagine this, a farmer who is there having a huge land that's in the desert, and we are telling him, here you go, this is the power you need, this is the water you need, do it that way to be able to do it right, and then he starts putting all his efforts to enable it. He pays when he actually makes his returns. That is a bet on decentralized systems, because it is definitely going to go way faster than the capacity of grid to reach out for those lands. So we've done that, and we have been in this quest together, Azelio, Mascara, and Engazaat on the ground here, just to enable that model to happen. We faced so many challenges in the process, and everybody of us had moved way more than his comfort zone of doing business to be here now and to deliver this investment before COP27 and beyond it, and expand it to rest of regions in Egypt and beyond it to Africa. Is that we faced mainly, I will name two main challenges that we worked really hard with so many techniques to deliver on. Number one is to de-risk the agro sector that is on a high risk profile, and to enable this kind of investments to flow that needed a lot of attention, a lot of technological solutions, and lots of structures to be able to enable it. So de-risking this profile and be able to ignite the first of its kind WEF Nexus investment in the region to solarize the biggest solar desalination plant in the region. And I believe it's the biggest Azelio's implementation even in the world.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've done that. We are delivering that as a service in a very thank you, Trey. In a very underserved area. And we've been now successful. So the de-risking was a pillar, and going into minimizing the levelized cost of water.
So producing clean water. We also have a financial setup that enables the water to be sold as water as a service to the farmers. And by that, we together enable businesses in remote locations in Egypt, and we sort of give them instructions such that they will be profitable. And I think this is a huge thing.
Solutions locally, and we just warranty that we are just provided what is needed and how we can make things sustainable. I mean, de-risking the project was be confident that it can be sustainable and it can be socially sustainable for the needs you need to achieve, and particularly in Egypt. And to achieve this, it was very, very interesting to work all together with solution providers, Azelio, Mascara, but really also with Engazaat locally. I mean, it was really important to have their view about how we can switch the economic model, how we can structure the project, and so on, to achieve a scalability of the project. And what's really, really important for us is that the Alliance warranty that we can de-risking a project, we can make it available now, and we can scale up it for the future for all different kind of need, because we We are just thinking how we can adapt to the context. This is really important for us.
Very good. I think innovation here runs throughout the project, not only from the technologies of the systems used, whether in Azelio's systems or in Mascara's desalination system, both of which are innovative, but also in the business model that is quite innovative, that addresses the challenges of the farmers. So that's a very good approach. And if we go to the single most important part of this, which are the farmers. So we are talking, can the farmers feed Africa and beyond? And I think one particular group of farmers that the partners started thinking about is the farmers in Mogra. And this is where perhaps I would like to discuss not the first project, the second generation of the Alliance's project, which is in Mogra. Mohammed, I think you're best suited to start the conversation and to let us know what's happening there and what are you doing together with Azelio and Mascara.
Thank you, Ralph. To put things in place and where we landed, before going into that, I would want to thank the Presidency of Egypt, the Prime Ministry of Egypt, the champion of the COP27 for awarding our project as well as the award winner for smart and green governorate initiatives. That's the biggest initiative for private sector in the COP27, and that was a great honor and a commitment from the government in the coming period of time to take this to the next level, to the region and to the world. So we're just back from a session right now with the champion of the COP, and I believe that was extremely inspiring for us to keep going and doing what we're doing. As for reflecting on El Mogra, this is our second generation of projects. So the first one was in Dakhla, that's in Al-Wadi Gidid, in a governorate that makes more than 40-something% of the surface area of the land, and with 250,000 only of residents. So 45% of the land on 250K thousands of residents. That's proportionally not compliant, and the reason that there is no ignition for development there that we are trying to help. And the second generation of our project is the elevation of this model in terms of technology and in terms of business model as well, to deliver the water as a service, the energy as a service with zero emissions, zero capital burdens, zero technical burdens, and just on pay-as-you-go basis. In Mogra, there is a huge project over there, the master development done with the Egyptian Countryside Development Company, 100% owned company by the government. We have around 225,000 beneficiaries over there, facing challenges of highly saline water, lack of electricity, and developmental challenges of that sort. So our stakeholders there, we believe that we are talking about a universe of 25,000 small and medium-sized farmers with lands does not exceed 5 to 10 acres. Those guys are located on more than 300,000 acres of land in Mogra alone. We estimated the investment size for the replication of such a model of no less than $6 billion of investments in clean energy and in water. And what Azelio is doing, I mean, I'm here standing, and we have chosen Azelio and Mascara for reasons. The most important one is resilience. And when we talk about resilience, we talk about social, environmental, and economic resilience of the solution. We are able to discharge electricity with only on 13 hours, not just a small push of power or surge of power, on 13 hours of discharge. That enabled much better economics on the 20 years, 25 years of economies. That also enabled much better economics when it comes to desalination quantum. And that had enabled us to trace more, with the smart systems of management, you cannot actually control what you cannot measure. So we now now able to trace every single drop of water in every single fruit and every single kilowatt hour of energy in every single vegetable produced. And that makes efficiency. So we do not claim that we have reached the whole formula. I guess there is a lot more to learn and a lot of engagement that is needed from all the stakeholders, government, academia. The American University in Cairo is present here. They are our consultant on the environmental and social studies to make sure that this impact is reached its own targets in terms of social targets and environmental targets, environmentally managing the brine and taking the whole cycle on clean format for this and beyond. So that's for the context, Ralph. Yeah.
Thank you for this overview of the Mogra project and what you're doing there. Quentin, can we have your take on the Mogra project and about Mascara's installation there to understand a little bit more?
Yes, so as it was mentioned, so we are going to put in place a desalination unit. So just to be more precise, when you are talking about salty water, you have two kinds of salty water. You have seawater, which is highly salty, and you have brackish water, where it's less salty than the seawater. Roughly, usually it's 10 times less salty than seawater. And in Mogra, we have to desalinate brackish water that is there. And to get rid of the salt in order not to, most of the vegetables are on what you are growing for agricultures. Salt is not something good for the growing of the vegetables. So we are going to put in place a unit for desalination, which is, it's a reverse osmosis process. So through membranes, we just separates the salt from the fresh water. And so in one hand, we have fresh water. On the other hand, we have a brine, which is more salty water. But from the fact we really developed eco-technology, we use this brine to grow, to do some fish farmings, to grow some vegetables and plants that can grow in salty water and get benefits also from the brine to have over usage for agricultural purposes. So we think these projects are a whole, and everything, each steps has to be eco-technology solutions. That's how it's a resilience project, and it's a sustainable project for us.
Thank you, Quentin. Jonas, what's the role of and the need for long-duration energy storage in the Mogra project, and what is Azelio doing there?
The goal for long-duration energy storage is that we will be able to sort of lower the energy costs for these types of applications that are far out on the grid, that have issues today with blackouts, brownouts, load shedding, or no access to grid whatsoever. But what I also see with this project is that we have built a model, not only a model from sort of technology point of view, but also we have built a model that is a financial model that is able to replicate over and over again. And that is the key, that we have built a financial model where we can replicate this project like in Mogra, in different other places all through Egypt, and then sort of expand this model to other places in the world. And that is really one of, I mean, there are very, very innovative technologies here, but the key sort of innovation is in the financing, being able to sort of have a financing model that is going to be able to reproduce over and over again. And I strongly believe that that is our mission together. And by that, we will decarbonize the agriculture sector. We will decarbonize some of the maybe hardest parts of the agriculture sector. And that's the irrigation, desalination part of it. Because that's never been done before, but to my sort of knowledge.
it's a good point to raise and to move us to the next stage. I think that's a very good project in a specific location. Everybody wants to hear how can we scale it, how can we grow, what is needed to be able to replicate this. And I'm thinking, you mentioned finance at the last part of your talk, and I can read here, finance, we're at the booth in Business Sweden, we have a variety of financial systems distributing capital to climate solutions. My questions to the panelists, and maybe we have some in the audience that can answer as well, is how easy is it to finance projects like these? Now that within a year the project will be on the ground, up and running, so everybody can see that it works, that it is there, that the solution is there. How do you feel about getting the finance for such projects? Maybe you can start with Hamad.
I believe when we were saying together what we are saying now 4 years ago, that was madness, you know? I mean, how would you go there and do that? And with such a risk profile, with such a bankability and feasibility issues and stuff like that. I guess now we are, in my opinion, maybe I'm a bit optimistic, but I believe the tough times are behind us now. So I believe we have decoded the formula in terms of financial engineering and structure from one side of things, and in terms of technological efficiency from another side of things. Today, as we stand right here, we have signed with the Agro Development Bank of Egypt the Memorandum of Understanding for the SAVE 3 project. That is 20 times more what we are doing right now. That was announced and launched 3-4 days ago. We had today the commitments and the pledges of the Egyptian government to support us on a PPP structure on agro-development models that will take us to the next level of expanding the impact of such a project. We have the commitments of the EBRD and also other financial institutions of interest to support this kind of projects in terms of consultancy and stuff. And this was announced officially on the Ministry of Planning websites. I guess with the smart and green governorate initiatives and the highlights that we've had with the champion of the COP, the Prime Minister, and overall the presidency of Egypt, I guess we are now ready to go. Since this development and we make it live, I guess the toughest time now is to put it on the ground and make the world see it. And afterwards, I guess there is a lot of exciting endeavor ahead of us.
Good to hear. Jonas, you want to add on something on this?
I just can sort of really well said, Mohammed. And this is the product that we can replicate so many times. And as you say, we are on our way replicating this. And when we do that, we will sort of, and I told this already, but it's so important. So be able to build profitable businesses on agriculture in the desert of Egypt. That it's not only a good thing, sort of a financial good model, it's also something that is good for the heart. And I strongly feel that this project is good for the heart. And yeah.
That's good.
And of course, good for climate, because it's a huge decarbonization by producing desalinized water with 100% renewables and no carbon.
Perfect. If one project is good to the heart, imagine what hundreds and thousands of similar projects could do to your heart. That's very good. Quentin, I will ask you the same question. What do you think, now that we have the project set up in place and the execution very shortly starting, what do you think you could ask of anyone listening for support, for financials or financial support or other types of support to be able to replicate this kind of project?
I think, as it was mentioned, everything relies on the quality of a project. I mean, financing can be accessed if according to the quality of a project. What is also really important is policy, that we have that everything is well aligned in a country or a place where you want to implement a project and you want to do scalability. You have that not only financing, but the whole ecosystem needed to push the project is fully aligned. And policy is also really important. I mean, if, as was mentioned by Mohamed, if there's no policy aligned, then you cannot push to the front your project. And also, it's something, as it was mentioned, when you start the project, at the beginning, you imagine things. And then you learn a lot during the project. You learn a lot thanks to your partners, that there are different culture, different way of thinking. And then it's changed even your vision and the way to push forward solutions. So it's really quite interesting. So you have to stay open-minded. You have to ask others also that everything is well aligned and to have a fully ecosystem that can make things happen. And financing is one part, policy is another part, technical solutions is also a part, and also people which are able to put things together and make things happen in a sustainable way and with a conscious of doing things right and impactful, specifically for global warming, that is the subject of the COP27.
Very good. Thank you, Quentin. Before closing, is there any questions from the floor? Yes, please. It's on. Just.
السيد عمران, professor at Faculty of Agriculture, Suez Canal University. First, I would like to thank all the presenters for presentation. It is a very, very good presentation. And I think all the three presentations are connected and integrated with each other. To answer the question I saw in the panel, can Egypt and Africa feed the world? I think the answer is very difficult, not easy to answer this question, but I think in the same time, the project, different project, maybe somewhere answer the question, because I see 17 from the Sustainable Development Goals are exist in the three projects. And this is very important because always sustainability dimension is neglected from the project. So if we look from the other side, from farmer, my question is, the socio-economic part, it's very important part from the farmer view. So socio-economic part is very important for farmer. If we can talk about the socio-economic in the three projects for sustainability after COP27, COP27 is just a start for sustainability afterwards. We need this project to continue, not to stop. Yes, so what about the socio-economic in the different projects? And for financing, is COP here is a good opportunity for finance. So we can talk with people, we show them some things, and we get the financial. Yeah. So thank you.
I think the project answers 10 of the SDGs, of the UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And the project, I will leave maybe the floor to Muhammad to answer your socio-economic, but I think it answers this problem quite well.
Thank you, Dr. Said, for the amazing question. Actually, we're discussing here, we are all as Alliance launching a single project that's in Mogra. And that more than we are launching a business model for replication for beyond that. So we have gathered up to make this investment technological structure to take, to enable small farmers as part of our mission to enable them to feed the world, to try to answer this question. Taking it to what you said, I mean, basically, yeah, the small farmer, we told a farmer-centric approach. We are trying to deliver the infrastructure without capital burden, without technological burden, and to make it affordable for him to make good economics from the agriculture return. As Ralph said, we are talking about 10 SDG goals: clean access to water, access to clean water, access to clean energy, and so many else, elevating poverty, elevating hunger, so many. But we have the American University in Cairo, and I would end with this, with their extensive expertise as our arm here to do the environmental and social studies, as to make sure that we are delivering on what we are promising in terms of social and environmental impact of things, and also having the international financial institutions. That is an integral part of the finance we raised to do this project. So at the end of the day, we are going this for a purpose, as Jonas just said. It is close to the heart. That had what motivated us all to be here, to change our business models and to transform it totally to serve this very objective, and we will make sure it's actually going to happen.
Thank you for the question. Thank you everyone for attending. I would like to thank all the panelists. Shukran Mohammed, Taksomike, Jonas. Merci beaucoup, Quentin. And thank you very much. With this, I will close this session.